So now it's time that we are going to bring a little bit of movement in the lower half of the body as well. You've learned already how to sink your qi by relaxing the large muscles down, and how to be sung, that state of your body when the muscles are relaxed down but the bone structure remains elevated and you're finding a slight stretch in other connective tissues throughout the body. With the center of gravity low and your qi sunk, we want to move from one side to another now. This exercise is not only good to improve balance, but it will also give you an idea of how you can move single-weighted. Single-weighted means that we will always have one full leg and one empty leg. In other words, we will bring all the weight down to one leg before we move the other one, right? So only if we have established a very solid foundation, a solid root, will we move with the other leg, for example, to the inside, like I just did. This will not only help you to grease the groove, improve the neurological pathways from your brain to the limbs, but it will also help you to move a lot more coordinated. So why is it improving the neurological pathways? That's because we're going to move very slowly and we will be in control 100% of the time. And as you know from Tai Chi practice in general, through the really slow movements, we will be able to connect deeply with ourselves and with our bodies. And that means that we need to use very different muscles most of the time compared to when we practice these exercises fast. Right? So let's say you're just going to do a punch like in Shaolin Kung Fu or like in boxing. It's just about momentum, but doing it very slow or lifting the leg up very slow requires a whole different set of engagement, and you will really slowly have to feel into these body parts and feel which muscles are engaged. How is your level of sung? Are your muscles relaxed down? Do you have a solid foundation to the ground? If you do these movements very fast, then it's just momentum that you're using and you're not really able to feel these things on a deeper level, right? And obviously, moving in a single-weighted fashion will develop a lot of control in your movements, and this will come in very handy. At the same time, because we're going to always shift the weight onto one leg, empty out the other leg, we will also be able to release and relax the tissues down more on one side, and therefore already compress the tissues, and eventually we will use this quality that we slowly build in our body to mobilize our Jing. But I will talk to that more at a later stage. For now, I want you to come into your normal stance, shoulder wide apart, and just apply all the principles. Sink your qi, bring the center of gravity low, and just distribute the weight evenly again. I want you to, from this state, always remain in this lower position for now, okay? I always want you to remain sunk and just keep the solid connection to the ground established. When we move now, I want you first to just shift from one side to another. You can close your eyes for that, and I just want you to realize and become aware of how the pressure changes in your left foot and then in your right foot. The left foot, just shift from one side to another. And see if you notice how the weight always changes from one leg here and then goes up, moves up and back into the other leg. Always moving in this semicircular fashion. Okay? At the same time, also become aware of the weight distribution from the front to the back of the foot. So in this case, you don't want to move like this while most of your weight is on the heel. You still want to be able to distribute the weight evenly on your foot. You also don't want that a lot of your weight goes more to the outside edge of one foot or more to the inside edge. So just make sure that you move from side to side while distributing the weight evenly, okay? All the other principles are applied. Your pelvis is still hanging down. Crown of the head is still gently elevated, suspended. When's the last time you actually focused on your feet and really felt the bottom of your feet? In day-to-day life, we don't really do that. If we just walk around the street, we don't really focus on our feet, right? Now you can do this obviously a little bit longer, just feel it out, just make sure that the weight is evenly distributed, right? So I was already mentioning something, that we're not really focusing on our feet in day-to-day life, and that's because we're just walking from one place to another. And we're not walking in a single weighted fashion. We're not really walking in a very controlled fashion either. What we do is we actually fall in a controlled manner because we're not feeling out the ground, making sure that what the surface of the ground is like, we don't feel it in our feet. We're actually just falling in a semi-controlled way, right? We're just using the momentum, fall down, and we just, because in the back of the eye somewhere we know that the ground is flat, that there are no obstacles, we're not going to trip. It somehow always works out. If older people, for example, practice Tai Chi, they don't really have that coordination anymore. And for older people, it's really important to just start slow and just start again feeling the ground on the feet, actually becoming aware of where they step. That's why Tai Chi is so good for older people. For the younger people that are more into the energetic qualities and the deeper meaning past the movement art aspect of Tai Chi, then it's important to move in such a fashion as well, but more focusing on relaxing and releasing the tissues down and creating effect, moving the Jing in such a fashion when we release the tissues up from the ground. Now, the next thing I want you to do is, I want you to come back with the feet close together, and we're going to practice moving from one side, keeping one leg full and one leg empty completely. Okay, so we're going to start working on that balance, but at the same time we also want to kind of do all these little adjustments that will allow us to apply the Tai Chi principles. Because even though we're moving now, we still want to keep our weight down. Okay, compress the tissues all the way down into the foot. Relax the large muscles. So from this position, first of all, you can close your eyes for that too, but it will be a little bit difficult because we're going to balance. I want you to shift the weight only on the right hand side, only on the right foot. And then you sink and you bring the left heel up so that only the tippy toes are touching the ground. Now here you take a few seconds again to make sure that the pelvis is released down, the crown of the head is pulled up. Basically just making sure that all these principles are applied. And then you lift the left foot up completely. So now you're just standing on one leg. Next, you just bring the left foot to the side, just a little bit. You see in this case my left quad is opening and my right quad stays pretty much where it is. So I'm not stepping 100% like this, I'm actually opening the left quad a little bit. This will make it a bit easier to balance and to move from side to side in the beginning. And then you slowly, with control, ideally as slow as you can, bring the foot back in. Now you shift the weight onto the left foot. Bring the right heel up. Make sure that you have a really well-established root. So only if you have taken the time, distributed the weight evenly, ideally on the Yongquan point, and you know, okay, this root is established, I'm stable here, then you can move with the foot to the right side. Slowly. Tippy toes, slightly touching the ground, and then you come back in. Okay. Shoulders are relaxed alongside your body. Shift the weight onto the right foot. Left heel comes up. And you step to the side. You open the left quad. Come back in. Shift on the left foot. Establish the root. Open the right quad. Step. And come back in. Slowly. Shift on the right. Root is established. Bring the heel up. Entire foot up. Open the left quad. Remaining sunk. And coming back in. One more time on the right hand side. Shift the weight onto the left. And slowly touch the ground with the right toes. And coming back in. Okay. And you can rise back up. So now we're going to go one step further because we're actually going to step to the side, bring the heel down, and shift our weight to the other side. All the same principles are applied. We always first want to make sure that we have an established root, okay, before we step to the side. And now as we were doing this, we were opening the left quad, kind of bring the body in a 45-degree position. This time we want to remain with the body facing forward, and we're just stepping like this, so that when we roll our foot off, our feet are still parallel towards one another, facing forward, okay? So now there is another thing that you need to know about. When we step to the side, we want to remain a straight axis. So if you look at the center line, you can look at this trim on this shirt, for example. I'm not shifting my weight by using my upper body as a counterweight, just for me to maybe step a little bit further. How far you step doesn't really matter, even if it's just like a couple of feet wide like this, no problem at all, okay? Start slow. So you don't want to lean and use the weight as the body as a counterweight and then come back. You always want to make sure that your body stays straight. And you just step with the foot. Not using this, just like that. Then move to the other side, and here as well. We don't want to bring the body here just so it's a bit easier to lift that foot back up. Right? If this is too hard, if you cannot stand straight and lift the foot up, then that means that you've stepped a little bit too far. That maybe you just have to come a little bit narrower, right? Because here you will be able to bring the foot back in easily. So we're coming back into the position, feet close together. Sink down, shift the weight onto the right foot. Establish the root, apply all the Tai Chi principles. Slowly move to the left. And then shift the weight as you bring the heel from the left foot down. You remain straight. Now you establish a solid foundation in the left foot. Bring the right heel up and come back in. Sink. Establish your root on the left foot. Step to the right, roll off that foot, establish the root. Now here 50-50%, and then you go further to the right foot, 100%, left heel comes up, and slowly you move back in. One more time. Sink, shift the weight onto the right foot, establish the root, step to the left, slowly roll off, distribute the weight evenly, all the weight on the left foot. Now you check, okay, yes, I do have a very solid foundation. Right foot can come off, and slowly you move back in. Sink down, shift the weight into the left, step to the right, and slowly shift the weight onto the right foot. Left heel can come off and come back in. So this is the first stepping exercise for you. Just give that a shot. It's really good to develop the balance and also understand the concept of single weightedness, and also especially to become aware step by step of how it will feel maintaining all these Tai Chi principles while actually moving. Because right now we only done the standing and a little bit of moving from side to side, but now we're actually going to step, and step by step we will also work on that skill of maintaining the principles while being in motion. All right, enjoy training.